What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Blood on the Razor Wire TV, where we bring it to you real and we bring it to you raw. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, share the video, and make sure you leave a comment. On another note, if you haven't already grabbed the book, you should definitely get one. Blood on the Razor Wire. It's a book I wrote while I was in prison. Got out after almost 18 years. Got this thing together, got it edited, got it published, and you can find it on Amazon, or you can get it directly from us if you want. Signed, autographed copy, $25. If you get it from Amazon, we get pennies on the dollar. So support the cause. It's up to you. Definitely don't want you to miss out, though. You can go on Amazon and read the first 3 chapters for free, and I promise you will not be disappointed. But anyway, today we're going to get into private prisons, what it was like when I ended up in a CCA facility. Many of you probably know what that is. If you have a loved one that's been in prison, if you've ever been to prison. These are these private prisons, right? Corrections Corporations of America. These people decide, man, we're going to start making money off people. We're going to start making money off of prisoners in their misery. And we're going to build these private prisons. And we're going to get contracts with the government. And we're going to send these people into these battle zones because that's what they became. These CCA places are totally off the hook. And there's a reason why. We're going to talk about it. I ended up in CCA because there was 2 dudes in my county jail that decided, man, you know what? We're going to holler at the nurse. They reel the nurse in. They throw the line out there, reel her in. They got her bringing in stuff. They cut the bars out of the cell. They jump out to freedom. And they go for a run for about 5 or 6 days. They're busted. But in return, they're like, yo, get all these federal prisoners out of the county jail because the marshal service, that's what we are. We're marshal prisoners when we're not convicted or sentenced yet. Get all these U.S. Marshal prisoners out of the county jail and start sending them out to Youngstown, Ohio. About 2.5, 3 hours away from where I'm from. But that's where they got beds at, right? So they pack us up one day. They say, hey, man, you're leaving, man. Here's a bag. They give me a bag. Here's your bag. Mr. Marks, pack your shit. You're out of here. Well, this is a doggy bag. Sorry. But anyway, pack my stuff up. And I'm going to CCA with a kid that I'm real cool with at the time. A kid named Chiz, man. Eventually, we end up in USP Lee together. We do a bunch of time together. We become close. And he gets out of jail. And I never hear from him again. You know how that goes. But anyway, we get on that bus, man. And we're heading to Youngstown, Ohio. Going to this private prison, a CCA. Never heard of nothing like it, right? But once I started to learn about it, I learned that CCA was a prison that they had. It wasn't CCA back then, I don't think. But it was a prison where they took all the D.C. prisoners to in Youngstown, Ohio. 8 or 9 of them escaped. They go on the run. They're on the lam for a while. They end up shutting the prison down. CCA's like, you know what? That's the perfect building. It's already there for us. Cells are there. Let's buy it up. Let's get this money. They're charging the marshals, I think back then, like $100 a day, $108 a day per prisoner. We got 2-man cells. They start putting 3 people in there. They come in, they're like, look, man, we're really getting it. They start adding beds, man. They start drilling beds to the wall. They're like, okay, this 2-man cell now becomes a 3-man cell. But before that, they had these things called boats. They would put us on a boat. You'd have two beds, and then you'd get a plastic boat if you were the 3rd man. It's just a little thing that you put on the floor, and some people would flip it over and sleep inside of it. When I first seen it, I thought that's how it was supposed to be. But really, you're supposed to flip it over and you've got a little height on it. You can lay down. But anyway, we're going to get into the stories, man. Story time at CCA, private prisons. We walk into this private prison, man, and it's like, wow, I've never seen nothing like this before. Every prison that I've been to or every county jail that I've been to in my life at this time has structure. This place has no structure. Nobody knows what they're doing. Nobody cares. It's just definitely a wild, wild place. The warden, he doesn't know what's going on. The captain doesn't know what's going on. But anyway, they take us in there and they give us these nasty-ass bologna sandwiches. Everybody's had them before. Trash, man. You don't even want to eat this shit. That's how bad it is. Cheese don't melt. You've heard me talk about the cheese that don't melt. And we're waiting for 8, 9, 10 hours, man. You get there on the bus, you're like, damn, man. You're waiting in medical. They finally see everybody. They send you to a unit. You walk into this unit, man. I'm telling you, I walk into this unit probably about 10:30 at night. Screaming, yelling. They got these metal tables. TVs are on. You can't even hear the TVs. And people are taking dominoes and they're slamming them on these metal tables. And I'm like, what the? I'm talking about, I feel like, man, I'm in the hood. Like, this is total chaos. The cop says, hey, man, go out there. You're all right. Just go find your cell. You're selling 32. Take your mattress, whatever. I'm like, all right. And I'll never forget this, right? I think this was the first day I was there, the next morning. I go in the cell at night, finally go to sleep. There is no locking at this place. Every prison I've been to at night, you get locked in. There's a quiet time. Even if you're in a state prison in an open dorm area, like there's bunk beds, whatever, but quiet time is quiet time. When the lights go out, you pretty much stay in your bunk. If you got to use the bathroom in New York State prison, you get up, you use the bathroom, whatever, but there ain't no, hey, I'm hanging out watching TV at 1, 2 in the morning. In this place, total chaos. Do whatever you want, man. Only the strong survive. And this is where it gets wild, right? We're going to talk about people, about a cell phone situation. We're going to talk about a couple different things. This is when it gets wild. First day I'm there, I believe this was the next morning. There's this old little white lady. She's a cop. She's got to be about 5 foot tall, right? She comes in. She says, everybody stand in front of your cell. Chow time. And they roll these carts in there. They don't have a mess hall at the time. They don't have nothing. They roll these carts in, right? And she goes, okay, cell 101, 102, 103, 104, come get your tray. Them dudes start walking down to get their tray, and I'm standing in front of my cell. And then everybody rushes the cart. And the lady goes, fuck it, free for all. And I'm like, what the? Some dudes are getting trays. Some dudes are getting milk. I haul ass down there too. I'm hungry. I got to eat. I grab me a tray, grab me a milk. But I'm talking about some dudes got 3 or 4 trays. That, it's pancake day, whatever, something good they want to eat. Breakfast is one of the only meals you can really eat at that place because everything else is absolutely disgusting. So some dudes got trays. They got no milk for their cereal. Some dudes got 3 or 4 trays. Some dudes don't even have a tray. So what do you think happens? Dudes are like, nah, hell no. Some dudes just accept that shit, man. And like I said, sometimes prison is a place where only the strong survive, right? Some dudes just accepted that. There's one dude, man, he was from Pittsburgh. They had brought a bunch of Pittsburgh dudes over there too. They got a contract with Pittsburgh. They got a contract with New York. They got a contract with Cleveland. They got a contract with Ohio. Pittsburgh dude's like, no, hell no, I ain't getting no tray. And he sees some dude with 3 or 4 trays. He's like, yo, man, I need one of them trays, man. And dude's like, nah, you don't need one of these trays. And dude's like, man, I need one of them trays, man. He's like, you ain't getting one of these trays, man. And dude just hit him. Boom! When he hits the dude, boom, he hits all the trays. All the trays go all over the place. They jump up. They start working. They're fighting. Boom, 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 boom. Dude's from Cleveland who he hits. The Cleveland dude gets hit. Pittsburgh dude, he's on his own, really, man. Maybe there's 2 or 3 Pittsburgh dudes in there that could help him plus him. He's pretty much on his own, man. They start rumbling over the trays. But now the Cleveland dudes are jumping the dude. Cop hit the deuces, calls on the radio. There, I don't think it was the deuces back then. In the BOP, we got deuces. I'm used to saying deuces. She calls, that old little white lady, we need help, help. And if you're watching this, you might remember this dude, man. I see this old black dude come running in there, man. Big old Afro Taylor. Lieutenant Taylor comes running in there, man. Get on the ground, stop fighting. By now, there's a bunch of people in there. They're trying to wrestle these dudes. These dudes are fighting back with the cops. They're wrestling them. They end up wrestling them to the ground, man. They get things under control. They take the dudes out. And that's how my first day was at CCA. Rumbling for the trays. Now they do lock us in. Now everybody get locked in. We lock in. They got an SIS guy over there, man. He was an Irish dude. He comes in with a canine dog. He actually comes in the unit with a fucking canine dog. Can you believe that? He's up in his joint with a canine dog. They start pulling people out, taking them. These are people that worked, I believe, in the Ohio Department of Corrections. Some of the people that are like the SIS dude and the captain, they had some experience, not much. So they come in there and they start trying to run things how they think it's supposed to be run. They're taking dudes out, putting them in the hole. Things are back in order, whatever. But things aren't really back in order. Things are still chaotic. But why? I'm going to tell you why. Because in these CCA prisons, what they do is they bring people in. They say, hey, man, we just opened this place in Youngstown, Ohio. It's a place of poverty. It's impoverished land over here. All the old steel mills are closed. People need jobs. Bunch of them dudes, man, were people that used to work in the steel mills. Are like, damn, man, I needed a job, bro. They shut everything down, so I came over here. So they bring all these people in. They're like, hey, man, you need a job, man. We're giving you a job. They're taking people off the street. And when I tell you, like, off the street, they had chicks, man, that were, like, friends with some of these dudes. Chicks that were, like, ex-boyfriends are in there and ex-girlfriends working in the laundry room now. Some of these chicks are coming in with X's on their hands. Do you remember what X's were back in the day? When you went to the club and you were under 21, you couldn't drink. So what they would do is they put a big black X on your hand so you couldn't buy no alcohol, right? Some of these chicks were coming in with X's on their hands on Saturday morning, like they were out at the club all night, but they got a job. And this is one of the craziest things, right? They open up this prison and you know that they're not ready. They're definitely not ready because none of the cops got uniforms. They all got on jeans, t-shirts, street clothes. And I'm like, what the I'm like bugging out. I'm like, I've never seen nothing like this. I had already been in New York State prison. I've been in my county jail. And honestly, back then I told you guys I was kind of a wild dude. I've been kicked out of every county jail where I was from. How the hell do you get kicked out of a county jail? Well, because they had a contract, they didn't have to have me. So they're like, yo, get them out of here. We don't want them here. Go to the next place. Do some bullshit over there, fighting, whatever. I did a lot of fighting back then. Boom, get him out of here. Boom, send him over here. Get him out of here. So I kept getting shifted around, man. Every time I did something, man, they didn't want me there. Ended up in Youngstown, Ohio. And you know what? I kind of flourished over there because you were able to fight in there. You were able to do whatever you wanted to do in Youngstown, Ohio. And there's probably some dudes that are going to tune in, some dudes that are watching the show that might have been there with me, man. If you remember me, hit me up, leave a comment. Maybe we'll bring you on for an interview and we'll talk about CCA. But anyway, that's my first day, my first breakfast. As the day goes on, I start to realize, man, that this is a place where danger is all around. You can be stabbed, you can be killed here, you can be hit with a lock because no one gives a shit. I'm talking about at night, man. It was like being in the hood, man. It was like a party. Dudes were in the corner over by the corner cell underneath the steps. There's no camera over there. Dudes are over there shooting dice, playing for money. I mean, there's commissary everywhere on the floor. I'm talking about out of control. They got these radios over there that they started giving out, these little free radios with a big speaker on it. Dudes are over there, got their speakers going. They got their headphones going all loud, man. It's like you're at a party, man, a nonstop party. And the crazy part is there is no lockdown in Youngstown, Ohio. You never had to lock in your cell over there. There was no lock-in. You could be out till 2, 3, 4, 5 in the morning. You never have to go to bed. And many of them dudes that came in there were coming from the street, right? So they get arrested. They come right into there. They got a couple dollars still because they was just getting money. And it's a full-fledged party. And they're back to the same, not back, but they never stop. Stay up all night, gamble, do whatever you're doing, and sleep all day, right? But during the day, man, like I said, man, you got these dudes with these dominoes hitting this metal table. Bang, bang, bang. You're like, what the fuck? What is going on here, man? There's no peace. There's no soundboards. Everything's echoing. They just opened up a prison, man. They didn't care about anybody. All they cared about was that money, man. We're going to get into some of the stuff here now, all right? So this is another thing, man, that dudes need to realize, like in prison. There's this big fat dude, man. He's from Cleveland, right? He had a little skinny celly, man. He was punking the kid. This is one of the wildest fights I ever seen. He's punking this dude. And I feel bad for the dude. Like, man, I know it ain't my business, but I don't like people that bully people, man. I don't like people that punk people, man. I really don't, man. I don't like that shit at all. So dude's kind of punking this dude, man. And one day, man, dude's sitting there, he's watching TV, he's talking shit to him. He's like, man, go ahead, man, go ahead. And I had already talked to this kid, right? There wasn't really no racial segregation in this place, just so you know. I have been talking to the kid like, yo, man, you need to just, take off on this dude, man. Like when we're watching TV, because I was getting mad, man. It was angering me to see that this dude was punking this dude. I'm like, yo, listen, man. That dude puts his hands on you, man. You got to take off on that dude. You can't let the dude just do whatever he wants. You're a man. And me and a couple other dudes, I guess you could say back then we were gassing him up, right? Putting the gas in his tank, man, to make him do whatever, make him fight. But really, man, I didn't want to put gas in his tank because I wanted to watch a fight. I wanted to put gas in his tank because I wanted him to stop letting this dude punk him, man. And that happens. People are in there, man. They try to push you around, try to punk you, try to take your shit. And dude, man, finally had enough. And I remember the dude like mushing the dude at the table. Dude jumps up. Honestly, man, the fat dude, they start fighting. Fat dude drops the little skinny kid. He's a little tall, skinny kid, man. He drops and dude gets up. He keeps trying to fight. And I'm telling you, man, about 45 seconds into the fight, the kid kept fighting. He had the heart of a lion finally. He kept fighting, but 45 seconds into the fight, fat boy didn't have no air no more. He was out of air. I remember him bending over, man, and the little skinny dude, man, played no games, man. Started beating the brakes off this dude. Now it was his turn. Now the tides had turned. Now it wasn't no fun when the rabbit had the gun. You know what I mean? Now the tall, skinny kid was like, yo, I'm getting it. He's whooping the dude. Boom, 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 hitting him. Boom, dude falls down. And then he starts kicking him. He's jumping on his head. Cops come in. And this is the wild. Yeah, the cops come in. They take him to the hole. But this is the wild part about CCA. You got a unit over here. And you got a unit over here. And you got a bubble right here. And in the bubble are two cops. Well, usually one cop. The one cop sits in the bubble. The other cop stands outside of the bubble, and they got the doors. They can open the doors on each side. Bzz, let you in, bzz, let you out so you can go out, go to see the case manager, like it even mattered over there. You can go to the barber shop. You might be going to rec, like you got an hour and a half of rec back then. They gave you an hour and a half of rec 3 times a day over there. It was like a glamorized county jail where you could do whatever you want. Got the cops out there. They take them kids to the hole, but the moral of the story is, man, dude fought back, man. It took a lot. It took pushing from us. It took him being abused. And finally, he was like, you know what? I don't care if dude's bigger than me. Sometimes people are scared of them bigger dudes, right? But you know what, man? When you finally get the heart, you're like, man, I don't give a fuck how big this dude is, man. I'm not gonna let this dude push me around, take my food, do whatever he wants to do. And finally, dude stood up for himself. And that's one thing about prison. If you don't stand up for yourself, you will be victimized, man. I don't care if you're in prison. I don't care if you're in the county jail. Dudes will definitely victimize you, man. So back to Youngstown, Ohio. Another thing that I had seen there, man, was this kid Bilal, right? I think I talked about Bilal before. Bilal had the chick that was there with him, and she was sitting on his lap. They'd go in the cell, do whatever they wanted, man, like it was the champagne room. He'd tell the cellies, yo, man, step out. He'd take the chick in the cell. She was an older lady, man. She always came in, like I said, man, off the chain. She always came in with her cup. She's drinking. She's getting drunk at night. And she's supposed to be watching over the prison. What the They go in there, they do their thing. And eventually this dude shows up, man, from Cleveland, right? And dude's like, you know what, man? I'm about to go get this dude. This is what he's thinking in his head. We don't know all this stuff at the time. But he's like, man, he sees dude come in at night. He's like, okay, dude goes up, goes and lays down. Because after you've been through that process, man, you're exhausted, you're tired, man. You want to lay down. You want to get some rest. Dude goes up in his cell, he lays down, he's getting some rest. First thing in the morning, man, the kid Bilal, I'm talking about 6:30 in the morning, man, 6 o'clock in the morning. You hear, hey, Dude is he's in one of them little boats that I told you about. Bilal goes in there and starts hitting the dude with the lock. Now, see, Bilal had built up an image in this place, man, and we made some mitts in there, man. We were in there hitting the mitts, man, like a bunch of kids that used to box, man. Cleveland's a place where there's a lot of fighters. Ohio, Youngstown, Kelly Pavlik, but a lot of big fighters from Cleveland, right? Don King from Cleveland. A lot of them kids are boxers. A lot of them kids are fighters, man. Bilal's in there hitting the mitts, man, looking good. He's got an image to protect, man. The image is, yo, man, I'm a tough guy. I'm that dude in here. Respect me, man. I'm from Cleveland. And he had this image, man. And this kid shows up, and the kid knows him, man. And now his image that he's built up, it's about to get destroyed, right? If he lets this dude stay in the unit. Dude comes in, like I said, he's laying down. Bilal goes up there with a padlock on a sock, ties it up, puts it on there, starts hitting the dude while he's sleeping. You hear, And I'm telling you, man, this dude jumped out of his bed. I don't think he knew that Bilal was in the unit. Dude jumps out of his bed and jumps all the way down the stairs with no shoes on. And Bilal's chasing him around the unit now. Cop sees it, calls for backup. He's chasing him around the unit. And he's screaming out, man, why are you hitting me, man? You're the one that told on me. So I guess Bilal was trying to get rid of dude before dude, said whatever he had to say about whatever happened in their case. Eventually, they both get locked up. Guess who shows up, though? Guess who comes back? The dude that was getting hit with the lock comes back. Bilal disappears, never to be seen again. I think he gets transferred to a county jail. But these are the type of things that happen in these places, man. You never know who's who. You never know what's going to happen to you. You never know when things are going to get dangerous and off the hook. And things escalated over there all the time, man. They started having fights. Like the Cleveland dudes didn't get along with the Youngstown dudes, right? They're on the basketball court one day, and you just see it grouping up. This is when I first started to learn, man, that you can tell what's going on in prison, man. You got to be observant. You know what's going on. You know something's about to go down over here. You see all the Cleveland dudes on this side of the basketball court. You see all the Youngstown dudes on this side of the basketball court. And things are brewing, man. Things are brewing. Two dudes end up meeting in the middle of the basketball court. They start talking. Like two dudes starting to get heated. He's got a couple dudes with him. He's got a couple dudes with him. And then all of a sudden, man, you just see the whole, it's like one of them old time wars, like the Civil War. Boom! And I'm talking about these dudes are working, man. They're out there getting busy. Cops cannot separate these dudes, man. Probably took, for people to fight for 3 or 4 minutes, that's a long time. You might not realize it, but two dudes fighting for 3 or 4 minutes, it's a long time. People start to get tired. But these folks right here, they're getting it in, man. I'm telling you, 15 minutes, man. Cops cannot break it up. There's women out there. It's the women. The women cops were running in. The women correctional officers, guards, whatever you want to call them. They're the ones that run in and start trying to break up this fight. Hectic, man. They can't stop it, man. Eventually they do. I shouldn't say they can't stop it because they do stop it. But, like when you're in the BOP and you see shit like that happen, man, the guards get that shit under control most times like that, right? 2-3 minutes, everything's under control. They rack that gun. Boom! Youngstown, Ohio, they got some gun towers up there. Nobody's racking the gun. Nobody's shooting. And dudes act like they don't even care that there's a gun tower, man. It's one of them old-fashioned ass gun towers, too, like the ones you've seen in World War II. Dude never racks the gun, man. People are fighting. Eventually, they get it under control. They take them cats out of there. But always potential. And then, there's always trouble with the Rochester dudes, man, where I'm from, right? Rochester dudes end up getting it out. The Cleveland dudes in the hallway. Eventually, they build a kitchen. They build a mess hall coming back from chow. Rochester dudes are down there working with the Cleveland dudes, man, getting it in. Getting it in. And that don't stop there, because eventually, man, I end up back in Youngstown, Ohio. When I'm coming back through, when I win my compassionate release, I'm going down there for a hearing. The SIS guy comes and testifies on me, and, the government's fighting me, but we have a hearing. I'm down there for this hearing, and one of the homies, man, from Rochester, right? He's out here getting big money. I'm not going to say his name. He's getting big money. He ends up over there in Youngstown. He's got a cell phone, all right? Cell phones over there, man, they got cell phones that are the size of your thumb, man. I never seen a phone like that ever in my life. I was like, what the hell is that? Some dudes actually, man, there was an African kid in there that was doing white collar crime. He actually had an iPhone. And I'm like, wow, man, dude's got an iPhone down here. And phones were expensive over there, man. So the kid's got the phone, man. Some dudes from Rochester probably know what I'm talking about. He's got the phone, and these dudes want to take his phone. And one of the homies are there, this kid named Cat, right? They're in a different unit than me at the time. Cat shows up, man. Big black dude, brolic. Been in prison a long time, man. Known in the streets for that thing. He shows up, man. They're trying to extort the homie. He's like, nah, man, that shit ain't happening. They get it in with the Cleveland dudes, man, over a phone. And they got these kids, man, called the Heartless Felons, right? Heartless Felons is a little gang that came out of Cleveland. And there's a bunch of these dudes over there, and they're like, man, they ain't going for nothing, man. They're taking everything. They're extorting, taking people's comments. They're doing whatever they want to do, man. They try to take the homie's phone. Him and Cat, they're in there working, man. I think there was one other Rochester dude. They're in there working, getting busy. They hit, you ain't gonna believe this, man. I think it was a kid in a wheelchair, man. Cat's in there fighting, gets stabbed a couple times in his face. The other homie gets stabbed over the phone. And I think someone left a comment about this that was actually in the unit on the live yesterday. And they hit Cat. Kid in a wheelchair hits Cat with a lock, man, in the head, splits his head open. But at the end of the day, man, they didn't get the phone. Dudes went hard, man. Went hard all the way in the paint. But, man, dudes are willing to kill you over a cell phone, man. Dudes are willing to kill you in prison, man, stab you, hit you with locks over nothing, man, over a phone that what, costs a couple $1,000s? This is Youngstown, Ohio. Absolutely off the hook. The other thing about Youngstown, Ohio is they have a computer in there, right, for the law library, right? They got it in this metal box, okay? You want to use the law library computer, I get there. I'm coming back on that compassionate release motion, trying to get out of prison. I can't get on the law library computer in the unit. Why? I'm going to tell you why. Because when dudes get their discovery, they got stuff on their phone, man. They got all these porn videos and stuff, man, and Pornhub and all this other wild stuff. And they can put their CDs in the computer and check out everything that's on that drive. They're putting them joints in that computer, man. They got all that stuff on there. So dudes are in the middle of the day room, like watching this stuff, man. You'll see dudes with their little coat on, man, with their hands inside their jacket, and you know what they're doing, man. In federal prison, they call it gunning. These dudes are at the law library computer, man. There's only one computer. And they're watching videos all day long. He gets done, his man comes over here and watches. And I can't even believe this shit, man. Like in the middle of the day room, these dudes are just, yeah. They're just doing whatever they want to do, man. Total chaos in this place. Like I was talking about, man, the cops, man, they ended up putting them signs up over there. Everybody's banging chicks over there, dude. Like in the laundry room, in the unit, no structure. No one gives a shit. No one cares. Maybe I shouldn't say no one cares, because I'm sure some people do care. But Youngstown, Ohio was probably one of the top worst places I've ever been in my life. Remember I talked about, you get real depressed in certain places? That was a place where you just were like, damn, man, this is a gloomy ass place. This is a dark place. This isn't a, even in federal prison, there's dark places and gloomy places and lonely times. But when you're in federal prison, you're actually living a life, right? You got a job to go to. You got a law library you go to at certain times. You got a routine. And sometimes people in the street don't realize this. In the street, you have different experiences every day. People in prison have the same experience every day for years upon years upon years. But you are living your life. You got a softball game on Monday. You might watch JJ the Boss on Wednesday nights. You might got The Voice on Friday nights, whatever night it's on. You might watch Yellowstone on this night. You got a program, man. But when you get to a place like Youngstown, Ohio, a lot of these dudes are coming off the street. Dudes think they own the TV. They don't want to watch the news. They'd rather watch this bullshit, a bunch of that reality TV. It's just a gloomy place, man. And in your mind, you're like, damn, man. I've been watching this show in prison. I still want to watch my show in prison. But you're like, you know what? It ain't even worth it, man. I'm not about to go down here and beef with these dudes over a television, man. And later on, when I ended up back there, things had changed in Youngstown, Ohio. It wasn't the way that it used to be. It started to become segregated by where are you from? Like the Pittsburgh dudes are all over here. And I got to give it to the Pittsburgh dudes, man, because they definitely get busy, man. They go hard in the paint, man. Pittsburgh dudes, they weren't going for nothing, man. And they had their own little crew. And there was a thing, if anybody wants to chime in, it's been there. There was a thing with the Ohio dudes and the Pittsburgh dudes, little mini riot in the unit. And they held their own, man. They held their own. I think it was over some K2. You're right. It's always, it's always something, man. It's always something over some nonsense, man, where we're fighting each other. We're trying to kill each other over what, man? Over some K2, over a couple sheets of paper that, okay, it's a couple $1,000, man. But what happens, man, if you're trying to steal it and you hit dude in the heart on accident? You meant to just stab him in his arm and he moved. He tried to block that joint and you hit him in the heart. What happens then? Then you don't even have to worry about K2, man. You don't have to worry about none of that stuff because now you're going to the court. You're going over there and this is where you're going to spend the rest of your life. But Youngstown, Ohio was definitely one of the places where, like I said, it was just a gloomy, lonely place, man. Not a place that I wanted to be. You feel sad in there. It's damp. It's dark. It's cold. And you're like, man, this is what my life has come to. And I remember getting on that bus, going to that hearing, right? And this is part of the personal part. I go to that hearing. We get down there. We're having a hearing. And they're like, you know what? We need a part 2 for this hearing. And my lawyers are checking their schedule. They're like, well, look, Judge, we can't make it back until December 15th. Okay, we have a second part of the hearing. And already, man, the hearing was brutal, man. It was like, damn, man, am I going to be okay? I was teeter-tottering, like, man, maybe I am going to win. Maybe the judge is going to let me go. And you start playing things in your mind like, damn, man. But he said this, but the judge nodded when he said that. I think the judge was paying attention to this. And I did all that stuff with my lawyers, too. They're like, yeah, he was paying attention to this. And I'm like, damn, man. And then part 2, man. Part 2 is because the government wants to call the SIS officer to my hearing. He brings the SIS officer in at the next hearing, and then I'm like, oh, it's all bad from here. Honestly, when we got done, my lawyer, who I've talked about, Judge Gleason, former federal judge, he goes, look, man, he said, I'm just going to give it to you real, man. It's an uphill battle. He said, we're probably not going to win this. We're probably not going to win. You're probably not getting out of jail. I'm sorry. We've done everything that we can, but it was rough. It was tough. And I remember getting on the bus, man, and finally, man, I'm handcuffed, I'm black boxed, going back to Youngstown, Ohio. And I look at my city and I say, this is it, man. This is probably the last time I'm ever going to see you. This will probably be the last time I ever win an appeal or I'm ever able to get back into court because there's no more wins. There's no more nothing. Court is over with right here. And I'm thinking in my mind, the judge is probably going to deny me, man. This is it. And I look at my city and I say, this is it, man. One last time, man. I'm driving back to Youngstown, Ohio, and all my thoughts and all the dreams that I had, they were shattered, man. That hearing was bad. Did not think I was going to win, man. Honestly, I didn't. But you know what, man? God had a different plan, man. The judge had a different plan, and eventually I won, and now I'm here, man. But that's my little scoop on Youngstown, Ohio, and what it's like to be in a private prison where people don't give a shit about you, man. It's profit over people. Don't ever forget that, man. Live your best life. Stay free. Blood on the Razor Wire TV. Until tomorrow, with respect, we're out.